Hello everyone, Jim from Ohio here, and we're preparing for springtime and garden planting here in Ohio. And this is my latest purchase. This is what we're going to be setting up today. And I wanted to talk a little bit about these. You see, there are a lot of garden beds that are online these days, and all of them seem to be going with the same idea, meaning a metal garden bed, corrugated metal. And the idea is you put those together once and they last about 20 years. Now, we had a lot of raised garden beds that were made out of wood at our last house, and we also had one that was a large cinder block bed, and the cinder block bed was 4 foot by 16 foot, and it was the best bed of all. Once we put it in place, we had no problem with the cinder block wearing away like wood would. However, on the other hand, all of the wooden raised beds that we built showed some signs of deterioration just a year or two after they were built, since you typically don't want to use pressure treated wood or any type of railroad ties or anything like that around your food. So since this is going to be what we consider our retirement home and our last garden, we're planning on putting it together in a way that'll last hopefully forever, or at least the rest of our lives. And these metal beds are supposed to give you about a 20-year lifespan. Now, that's what they tell us. We don't know that for sure, but we're willing to take a chance. Let me show you what you get when you order these. Now, I went with a company that's known as Leo Life, and there are a whole bunch of companies out there now that are advertising various types of beds. And the reason that I went with this one was just after I did all of my research, they seem to have the best offer for the most beds that I could get for the price. Now, let me show you what this bed will look like. I purchased 8 of them, the size that I'm going to show you, and 3 another size. So this is the bed that we put together yesterday. And it's actually 4 foot wide, and it's 8 foot long, and it's made out of 24 gauge steel. It's simply put together with screws that have a wing nut on the other side for very easy assembly. And we went with this style bed, or by this company, Leo Life, because of the fact that it was the 24 gauge metal as opposed to a thinner metal. Now, a lot of the beds you'll see online have a stringer or a bar that goes across that keeps the sides from bowing out. Now, supposedly, since this is a thicker metal, you don't have to have that stringer bar or the support bar across the middle. This company claims that their sides will hold up to the weight of the soil pressing against them without bowing out. Now, I don't know that yet. We'll have to wait till we get soil in this to find out. But the other reason that I went with this bed, or this company, is, as I mentioned, they had the best price for the most beds. They currently have an offer of 30% off of their beds, and if you spend $1,000 or more with them, they'll knock additional money off. So with the 8 beds that I purchased, I got 30% off, and plus I got the $50 additional money off, which made it a more economical value. So these beds are very easy to put together. At each seam there are 6 screws. It's a screw head on this side. You can use either a flathead screwdriver or a Phillips screwdriver, and on the inside there's simply a wing nut. And what I did was I just grabbed one of those wings off the wing nut and held in place with a pair of pliers, and then I tightened the screw head from the other side. Now, this is, as I mentioned before, 24 gauge steel, and it's painted with a special paint that supposedly has a couple of variations of metal to create a surface that will not corrode or is very slow to corrode. So as I mentioned, they are advertising that these are supposed to last about 20 years. The cost for each of these with the discount that I got, and I did purchase these with my own money, when I bought 8 of them together, the cost came to a little under $200 a piece. Now, if you go to the store now and you just price out the wood, what it would take to put together a pretty decent and similar size raised bed, you're going to be pretty close to that, and you're not going to get 20 years use out of it. So that was our goal with why we went with this style. Now, the reason I went with the 4x8 foot bed is most of the other companies, their beds are usually about 2 feet across and only 17 inches high. Well, this one is 24 inches high. That means you don't have to bend over as much, and with the height that they come up to a little bit above my knee, maybe the middle of my thigh, but that means much less bending over, and by the time we plant things like tomatoes and peppers, it'll be the perfect height. Now, the other reason is because we like that cinder block bed at our last house so much. This is the same height as that bed. That's what we're used to working with, and that was what we found most comfortable. But the other companies that have these beds, they're usually only about 2 feet wide, which is good in terms of you don't have to put as much soil in it, but it tends to waste space. With this, I can get 2 of those beds in. It's going to take up twice the amount of space, but I only have to have 1 bed, and each of these beds were just under $200, where those other beds that I've seen for a 2-foot bed, I think they're about $175. So with this, I'm getting 2 beds for just a little more than the cost of an individual bed with some of those other companies that I've looked at. Now, along with this, they include a set of instructions to put it together. They give you a set of gloves, and then they give you all the screws that you need to do it, plus a few extra screws. Now, they do give you a little screwdriver. I'll tell you, just throw this thing away and go get a real screwdriver, because this is uncomfortable to use. Let me tell you what I've been most thrilled with about this company. I placed the order for these beds. As I mentioned, 8 of them. I placed the order in the middle of the day on January 29th. Immediately, I got a pop-up notice on my phone, or a text message on my phone, that said, warning, there's been an international order on my account that appeared to be maybe a fraudulent order. So right away, the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I was wondering, uh-oh, did I just get ripped off? Well, I also got, now that notification came from my bank, of course, and I went ahead and responded that it was a legitimate order, and I immediately got a confirmation email from the company and Leah Life saying my order was being processed. Now, later that same day, I got a notification that says my order was already being processed with FedEx. And while these beds are made in China, mine were actually shipped out of New Jersey. Now, I received all 8 beds on February 2nd. So it only took 4 days to get my order from the time that I clicked send and processed that order to the time it arrived at my door. The communication from the company was excellent. They sent me several emails all along the ordering process and the shipping process. So I'm totally thrilled, and I did go ahead and order 3 more beds from them that are 12 foot wide by 3 feet wide, 12 foot long, and are the 1.5 foot height. And we're going to put some long-term crops in those, like strawberries and asparagus, and probably Jenny's herb bed. But the next process, we are going to go ahead and put another one of these beds together today, and ultimately they're going to be scattered out as we do the process of determining the layout of our new garden. I'll keep everybody informed, and as we work on getting these things filled up, it's going to take a lot of dirt. It's going to take a lot of dirt to get these filled up. But as we figure out our layout, how we want to format our garden, I'll bring everybody along. As we start filling in the beds, I'll bring everybody along. And more importantly, I'll give everybody an update once we start getting the soil in these, as far as whether these sides will hold up as the company claims they will. But I'll give everybody an update later. This is Jim with Jim Jenny, Ohio. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.